Welcome to Women on IT Hack the Future livestream. My name is Beata, and today's PhD Positivity Hack delivered will be by Ginger Tech owner Kamila Stępniowska. Kamila has been working with both internal communities of practices as well as open communities. Kamila has created a B2B machine learning education programs with deepsense.ai. She has been supporting diversity as the Women Who Code Seattle Evangelist advisor at She's Coding and a SheWorx steering committee member. And as Geek Girls Carrots COO, Kamila built a global community of women in tech. It's a double PhD tonight. Her PhD thesis was on CPython as a programming language developed by the community at chair of Warsaw University. So Kamila, today's topic of our discussion, she's an expert, trust me, communities of practice, crucial for knowledge transfer. Kamila, it's a pleasure to have you here. You're my fellow Geek Girl Carrot, and I try to wear as much carrot color scheme as possible. Kamila, where in the world are you?
Hi, Beata, and it's great to be here, and thank you for the invitation. And I'm very glad that we have this opportunity to speak about communities of practice today. And where I am, I'm in Poznań, in Poland, currently. And you can see some plants with which I have in my apartment, actually. So I'm at home in Poznań. That's the home now. Yes. So today I'm very excited about speaking about communities of practice.
Fantastic, Kamila. We met so many years ago. I believe it was in Warsaw. When we met first time, it was online. You were living in Seattle. First, not only you moved to Seattle, you were in Toronto, and we then joined sometime before Christmas for our kind of court meeting. And I wonder, what is the critical element of successful community, whether it's community of practice or whether it's open community? Can you tell us from your experience what you believe is the successful factor in community building?
Yes, so thank you for this question. And yes, I'm glad for this time which we had together, like so many years ago. It's really a long time ago, and it's great to just be here with a new topic. And in terms of some crucial facts in terms of communities, I'm glad that you are asking about communities of practice, but also about some other communities, because I very much believe that actually to create some community which is successful for communities of practice or for open communities, it's very the same. Like there is this book, the Culture Code. Actually, I have this book here, and that's Daniel Coyle. And Daniel Coyle, he's speaking about many things in the book, but one of them is to have actually these factors which make the community very successful. And one of the factors is to have participants of the community who are appreciated as a people, as very specific people, as very specific person. So they are appreciated for being an individual. Then it's very crucial for communities to feel to make this feeling of safety and belonging, that I belong to community, I'm welcome to community, I can feel safe in the community. So that's very, very important. And also there is the third factor, which means that actually it's not only to be part of some group. It's about being a part of very special group. So we need to feel that the group, this community which we are part of, it's very special. It's something extraordinary. It's something which we really can benefit from, and which is really good quality. So we have three factors which I believe which are crucial. And one is to just have being recognized as an individual. Then this feeling of belonging and safety, and then that the group is special. It's very high quality.
Mm-hmm. Great, fantastic. And we've got first a viewer that left a little mark. Great to see PhD back. Agata Belon, thank you very much for leaving your comment. Dobry wieczór, Kamila. That's in Polish. Good evening. Thank you so much, Agata. Interesting book. What was the name again, please? She's asking. So if you could show us the cover, because
Yes.
we would like to share it. The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle is definitely something that Kamila recommends. She's an expert in the field. So Kamila, let's start from the beginning. What is the aim of creating a community? Should there be a specific goal in mind, or do we let the community decide the goal? Could this goal change over time? What do you feel?
So in terms of communities of practice, which are very specific type of communities, because those are communities which are created inside of a company. So you have some company, some firm, and this company, let's say that is Orange, and in Orange, the company, yes, that's the name of the company, Telecom in Europe. So in this company, you have multiple different communities inside. Those are examples of communities of practice. So those are communities which are built inside of a company. So in terms of this very specific example, it's very crucial to have people who are excited about some subject. The subject might be, for example, some technology-oriented or some, let's say, job-oriented. That's very, very specific for communities of practice. And these people are actually not people who are just called by the management to build community. They have some desire, they have some need to build community, and very often it's something which is created like organically. So that's the best way. In terms of a goal, usually communities of practice has one very specific goal, and the goal is knowledge sharing. So it's the main goal, very specific, very usual for communities of practice. In terms of like some goals as KPIs or anything like that, I definitely would not recommend that. Communities of practice are the best if they are open and if they are community driven. So it's not something which you especially can put in some tables. You don't necessarily can put that in some spreadsheets. So like having this community which is very alive, it's a live organism. It's something which change over time. So this very specific like goals of the communities of a community also can change, and it's something which should grow inside of the community. It's not something which might be just put from some management which is above the community. So definitely would not recommend that.
Fantastic. So I'm just wondering, because we've been working with the open community together, and so I'm wondering, what do you see the main differences between the open communities and internal communities of practices? What is the main difference between the two?
I think that in this very particular time, in time of pandemic, the main difference is in terms of communities of practice, which are inside of companies, and this communities has very specific platforms which they are using. So those are platforms which are used in a company. So, for example, those are some, like in Orange, for example, there is a Plaza, which is internal platform, which they are using for communication and which they are using for communities as well. So, and in open communities, you have this multiple different ideas on which platform, for example, you can build community. You have very, very different options. And actually, now open communities are struggling with this this many varieties of choices for platforms to be used by community, and also with a lack of attention from people from community. So in the same time, communities of practice, communities which are internal for a company, those doesn't have this problem as much as open communities, because people from a company, they have to be on a platform. They have to be on this workplace, which is now online. So this communication inside of community is much more natural now, and very often it's also fulfills some need of being with people from a company. So actually now it's harder for communities, open communities.
So I'm wondering, because I can't stop but think about the open coffee idea by Brad Feltz, which actually inspired me and my husband and another co-founder to fund Mission to Run Startups community back in Torun in 2013, sorry, I'm not that old. And so I'm wondering, because Peter Thiel actually in his book said that his cohort, the PayPal cohort, used to be called PayPal Mafia. And he was talking about the fact that not only he was capable of building the PayPal community, it spun out of, people loving to be together and supporting each other, then building other ventures out of PayPal. And he's then comparing it to the office when he started working in this legal firm, when there was very, very big brains and people who finished Harvard, Yale University, big universities, difficult to get into, not to mention finish these. So I'm wondering, is there a factor to have some knowledge sharing? Is it important to have these big brains, or is there another factor that is more important, more vital than big brains?
I would say it's important, but it's a little bit a way around, because people who has this comfort of being part of some great organizations as universities, people who were told that they are special in a way, for example, because they get into the Harvard, they feel special about that. They are willing to choose more often, like making some decisions which are they are taking more risks, and also making some decisions which are more open-minded, and also very often more connected with being a lifelong learner. So I would say that yes, that there is perhaps there is a correlation, definitely, but that might be, the correlation actually might be more connected with how these people think and feel about themselves than with the real knowledge itself. Because like studies shows that like even studies from 60s, which actually we will not be able to do right now because we could not make that kind of studies on like high school children. But there are some studies, and actually that's also, I believe, from the book, this the Culture Code, which shows that if children from a high school, they would be actually their teachers would be told that those kids are special, and they will be treated as a special for 1 year. They will get better degree. They will get a better score at school, and they will be also treated as more successful. So they will be more successful. So in terms of a community of practice, in terms of this knowledge sharing, obviously there need to be some knowledge to be shared. But I believe that it's more important to have this mindset of lifelong learner, and to have this mindset of yes, I can learn it. It's like it's not a like you can even learn a rocket science, but it's important to just have this mindset that you can learn, that you are open for not knowing, which is very, very important. You are open for asking questions. You are open to just to be proved wrong, to make mistakes. So that's very important.
Oh, that's a perfect summary. Having a mindset of lifetime learning is definitely helpful. But I also can't stop but think about the fact that what we did, for example, with our community of Geek Girls Carrots, we gathered together not only to have great time together, but also primarily to learn from each other. And also we invited experts, right, who did our internal trainings, who taught us how to present and how to, do various things that made our community successful. So I'm wondering what are the similarities between the communities of practice and open communities? What are the main similarities you find that are extremely useful for knowledge sharing?
Yes, I would say that in this case and the other case, it's most about the people and about how people are involved in building a community. So most of all, I'm thinking about some leaders of a community. So how they are involved, how they are really into a community. Also, this very often style of community leaders would be reflected in the community. So it's also very connected, and both in the communities of practice and open communities, it's very the same. If you would have people who are leaders of a community who think in a hierarchic way, definitely the community would be more hierarchic in some way, like not you could not see that at the very first glance, but definitely there is this component in the organization. If the community leaders will be more open, definitely there is a greater chance that the community would be more open. So it's about people. It definitely, in both cases, it's about people.
So it's about people. We know that, we've experienced that. We were actually chatting about the fact that sometimes we put the seed in and we facilitated local communities. And I remember myself going for lengthy meetings to facilitate community building that was starting in Seattle, not in Seattle, in Sydney. And it just didn't go through. So I'm asking you, how do you manage to motivate people to do what they promise to do, to deliver on their promise?
So in terms of communities of practice, I came with this idea of using actually something which you might know from sales world, which is jobs to be done. And Jobs to be Done, it's a kind of practice. There is also a book, Jobs to be Done, and it's not new. It's about 25 years old. But the clue for Jobs to be Done methodology in sales is actually to get into the real motivation, the real need, this jobs to be done for this particular product. And I believe that is very similar with communities, actually. Like with communities, for example, in new technology, there is more communities in new technology than in sales, for example. There is more communities in new technology than, let's say, in cars repair. And why? Because in this very specific case, in this case of having new technology, there is a very specific need. So new technology, different programming languages, different libraries, different use of like Canvas and so on, it's very new, so it's very hard actually to get all the information which you need in your job and in which you need in your everyday work. So it's crucial for these communities around new technology that they deliver actually the answer for this need, which is getting the most accurate, the most creme of the creme information, and this the most recent actually knowledge about technology, which is very hard to gather like in a university. It's very hard to gather in the internet, actually, because there is too many resources. And now the case is to just it's not easy to choose where to start. If you are, for example, learning a new programming language, first of all, you really don't know where to start, and communities helps with that. So in terms of communities of practice, but also open communities in new technology, it's a very, very specific need which they are addressing. So that's why they are very successful. In general, in communities of practice, I would say that finding this real need, this jobs to be done, this job which this community would do for people who are in the community, for people who are part of the community, that's the key. It's not easy. Definitely, it's not easy.
So I'm just wondering, and thank you very much, Marianne. Really good mindset to have, Kamila. We should always try to learn. That's Marianne's comment to Kamila's. Be a lifelong learner. You can be a rocket scientist, and you can definitely hack the future. So if you mention technology, I can also can't stop but think about women on IT hacking the future. Definitely some key elements how to hack the future can be found on communities of practice. So Kamila, what would you say are the 3 most important purposes of a community of practice?
So definitely knowledge sharing. That's the first one, the most important. Then also employer branding, which is internal and external. Internal because people can benefit from a community. From a community. External because communities of practice are very good, maybe even an ad for a company. The third one, I would say, it's creating this internal funnel of communication. So communities of practice helps very often with this direct communication in the organization. So basically, they help to have some more informal very often and just more effective communication in the organization.
Fantastic. And what makes a successful community of practice? If you had a magic wand, what would be the perfect community of practice look like?
Oh, so definitely, yeah, we are starting with people. So these people are very excited about the topic which they are building a community around. So let's say that those are data and AI, and they are some practitioners themselves, or they are very into the topic. They not necessarily have to be practitioners, but they are really interested in the topic, and they are. So it's not only one person. With all communities, you have to have more than one person. So definitely, I would say that would be three people who are this community leaders on the very beginning, and also they already have some network inside of the organization, inside of the company, and this network. It's a place where they can try some ideas, and also that's the place where they can have the very first people to just take on board with a community. So those will be first people who will came to the meeting, and they will be just a part of a community. So yeah, there is some recipe.
So, Kamila, I know that you're an expert in artificial intelligence as well. What would you say are the most useful for you communities of practice that you would, I don't know, whether sneak in or contribute to?
I'm a big fan of Data Freaks, and Data Freaks, that's internet community in Orange, which I have a pleasure to working with, and they are very dedicated people. Like there is 4 leaders, and they are just awesome. Some other communities, some open communities, obviously. PyData, that's a very good one, and now it's not so active in Poland because of pandemic, and it's open community, so has their difficulties, and also some international communities. Actually, all this, I'm thinking about communities which support women in new technology. That's definitely a part of, and I'm glad that I'm on one it, and that also I believe that when you have a community of open community for technology, that's data and AI will always be a part of that somehow, because just it's a part of such a big part of the technology right now.
Fantastic, Kamila. Thank you so much for spreading the love, my dear community of WANIT, Women on IT Who Hack the Future. If you would like to be part of it, tune in, listen to our experts. We have one just in front of you, so you can ask any question because she's specialized in delivering knowledge. So in terms of delivering knowledge, what kind of knowledge can you get? I mean, you mentioned some of the communities you're a big fan of. Maybe let's start with the orange one. That's a huge company in Poland. So I'm wondering, how do you facilitate that community? What is important? What is your daily task? I don't know, maybe it's weekly task.
Definitely with Data Freaks, they are definitely on their own. I'm just helping a little bit, so it's like I don't have any like daily task or anything like that. They are doing great on their own. I'm just helping from time to time. And what they are doing, they are definitely doing some online events. Actually, we had some event this Monday, and it was a event joined forces with women on AI, and it was an event about social media and AI. So basically, we were just covering the topic how AI is used in social media. But besides that, they also have this Plaza group, so internal platform, and there is definitely a lot of knowledge sharing, and that's the great place. Internal close, just for this community, just for people who are working in Orange, and they are sharing their knowledge there definitely. And that's about Orange. There is also this for example, a great community which is part of Software Mill. That's a software house in Poland, and actually it's not about AI especially, but it's also about technology. And they have this software architecture discussion group. And this software architecture discussion group of Software Mill, it's also internal community, so it's community of practice. And what they are doing, it's part of what they are doing. That they have this katas, and katas, it's a very specific form of knowledge sharing. And they also evolved this form, which was created. I don't remember the name right now, but it's something which you can check as well. And they just developed this katas, this very specific formula of knowledge sharing to their needs, and those are needs which are very specific because they are a remote company. They were remote before it was cool, so they are remote for 10 years now, from very beginning. And in their case, having this software architecture discussion group, they have built this very own idea for katas. And katas basically it's a issue to be solved. In this particular case from our software architecture. So they have one, let's say that they choose one issue to be solved in the software architecture, this one kata. And this one kata is sent across the group. And people in the group, they have some time, like two weeks, I believe, to prepare some kind of solution for this kata, for this issue, for this problem, this architecture problem. And then they are just building some solution which they need to pitch in only 5 minutes. And they are pitching this solution in a meeting, in a Zoom meeting, and everyone has only 5 minutes, and after that they have discussion. So that's a really cool idea to share knowledge, actually, because from one hand they have this time to just dive deep in a issue, in a problem, this software architecture problem themselves, everyone individually. But then they have a discussion, and they also before that they have a time to just show the solution, so they can learn from each other, and that's the heart of communities always. So that's I believe that's very very cool example.
Fantastic. So Kamila, I have received a couple of questions, and they were sent to me in private. And before we go to them, because we have some comments as well that are in public, in love and in pain, thank you so much. I see that you still didn't change your name. I hope the life will be less painful tonight after this very exciting topic of building community, making human connections. And so, Kamila, just coming back to the private questions and privacy, because I think some people are very sensitive when it comes to privacy. They don't like their names to be in the open. Do you have an example of communities of practice where people stay private, or is it always have to be, this is Kamila Stępniowska who asked the question and everybody knows that it was a silly question, or I don't know, it's so basic or something?
That's a good question, actually. With one of my clients, with one of company which I'm working with, I know that they have this option of asking a question anonymously, and especially that's the case if you are working in a really big organization, in a really more corporate world. So if it's let's say international company which is really huge, and people are part of more hierarchic like structure, then they might not feel so comfortable to ask a question like behind their name. So definitely that's a case, and so some communities of practice, they make special channels to just be able to ask a question privately. So that's definitely a case, and I believe it's a good practice. It's also a question about like the culture of organization, and in like communities of practice have a harder time in this more hierarchical organization. So if you have you need to be very political, it's harder to build some community of practice, but still it's still possible, and I believe that that company will definitely benefit from that. So in the same time, then this community of practice might be a really important and necessary way to make this less official communication.
So back to the private questions. We have first one. At my work, we have an engineering quality assurance community of practice and engineering community of practice. Would you suggest splitting testing and development or not? It seems like everything is always geared towards engineers.
That's a really good question, and thank you for that. And I would also ask a question for the person who asked about that, because I would say that first of all, I would try to just see why the situation is happening. So I would speak with people inside of a community, with engineers, and also with the other side. And I would just privately speak with these people, and speak with also leaders of a community after that, also privately, and try to see what is the reason why that's happened, because very often it's like engineers in some organizations, they have just a higher status than other workers, so that might be part of the issue. And if that's so, that's a more general culture issue of the company. So then I would suggest to be very careful, and just to respectfully speak with the leaders of a community, and see what they are thinking about the issue. And then perhaps if they will be on the same page as you are, then see if there is a chance to build more space for the QA. And maybe there is a chance for having some QA people to have some presentation, to have some talk, to just share information about their perspective of work, just to prove that they are important for a company, just to prove what kind of hard and effective work they are doing, and how it's important. So if you have leaders of a community on board, and if you have some people from QA who are willing to share knowledge, then that might be the first step. Then obviously, if you will feel that it's not the way, like QA people will never speak with engineers, and it's just not how it is. They then maybe building this separate QA community might be a good idea, and perhaps it's the easiest way to just build actually to build this joint community a little bit differently.
So I can't stop but think, if you suggest that maybe there should be two running with each other, is there a chance for each community being more competitive with the other? I'm just thinking aloud here.
Yeah, definitely. And being competitive for communities, it's not the best practice. So definitely that might be the case, but again, it's very different in different organizations. It really depends on the people. So they might be competitive, but in the same time, for QA people, that might be the very first time in the organization where they can speak about their issues, about their problems, they can share knowledge. So that might be very, very important for this QA people. If the issue is so well defined, if there is really an issue of like they don't have their own space to communicate. So yes, that might be more competitive, but sometimes competition is not a bad thing. So I would not recommend that, but sometimes it's a better option.
I think I may not have internet here. Back on screen, I have
Beata, can you hear me? Okay, so I think that we for a minute we are losing Beata, but let's see if there are some questions maybe which I can answer. Yeah. Does it make a sense to have? Does it make sense to have intercom meeting across departments of? Yes, definitely. It's very important to have communities of practice across the organization, not only in one department, not only in one place of the organization, not only in one team. So it's definitely it's a good idea to have people across the organization and to build a community of practice across the organization. That's definitely a good idea. So Beata is back.
I'm back, I hope.
So I also hope that Beata is back, but I think that there are some more difficulties. So I will just okay. Can you give tips? Yeah, in terms of So again, with this question, that also might be a question about the culture of the organization. So that might be just a bigger issue in terms of organization. So inside of organization. One very easy tip is to try to work of code of conduct. So a code of conduct it's just a formula of some agreement of values and in general of values of a community.
I'm back. Carry on, you're doing so well, Kamila.
So maybe I would just I was just saying about code of conduct as one of the solutions for more inclusivity in a community of practice, but like working on code of conduct together in a community, it might be the real work to be done to just make this language more welcoming. So just having everyone on board, people from both sides, from inside of the community, not only leaders, definitely not only leaders, to work on this this code of conduct. Yes.
Fantastic. I'm so glad that we had these questions from our audience sent to me prior to our event. So Kamila, very well done for this redundant me. So I'm just wondering, we have the third question, and could I please have it because I've lost connectivity. As we know, technology is vitally important. We have Juicy Roberts. Hi, Kamila. Is it also good to have a community in a family-run business? That's a very interesting question.
Thank you for this question. So it depends on how large is the organization, how large is this family business. If it's like about 50 people or more, I would suggest that it's a really good idea. If it's only like 4 people, then I would not say that's the typical community of practice, but I definitely would encourage you to share knowledge, because that's always good to have. Like, you can, even in a company of 4 people, this family business of 4 people, when you can just have some time for example, some reading club, some technical reading club, or some business oriented reading club, which also might be a community of practice. That's a great idea. So, but then if you would have that regular community of practice, which will be a more supporting a bigger group of people, and also being just a larger organization, then I would say that that's definitely a good idea. Like with 50 plus people in the organization, definitely a good idea.
Fantastic. Kamila, and let's go to the third question that I received prior to our show, which is, thank you, Juicy Roberts, for this very interesting question. I would agree with you, Kamila. It's depending on the size of our organization, but communication is the key. We are all playing in the same team. We are all playing with the same goal in mind. So definitely, if you support your community, please keep it alive, keep it afloat, and make sure that everybody is welcome and everybody is important to this group. So the third question we have: how do you feel about combining different industry testing community practices, such as gaming industry and web?
Yes, that's a very interesting question as well. And I would say that I feel very positive about that, just because like cross-sharing information, cross-sharing knowledge and practices, good practices from different industries, it's also might be very creative and might be very fruitful. So if you, for example, have the different communities of practice, like for example, this data freaks from Orange, they are doing a lot of internal meetings, internal events, internal communication, but they are also working with some external communities, and very often about the data and AI, but also like data and AI in different industries as well. So it's something which I would say that if you have open-minded people in the community, that might be a very good idea. And when we are speaking about creativity and how people get some ideas for new things, for new, not only ventures, but like for new improvements inside of existing teams or existing projects, and then getting this ideas from other industry might be really, really helpful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that secret question. We are always happy to answer in private or in public. And Juicy Roberts just said, thank you so much, Kamila. I will try to create a reading club in our business. That's a good idea. What do you think, Kamila?
Definitely. Like, I'm very curious what will be the topic of this club. It will be technical, or maybe that will be more business oriented, or maybe something else. But yeah, definitely, I'm glad to hear that, and I have fingers crossed. And please remember to have fun with it.
Absolutely, and remember about building that team. So that's knowledge sharing is also important, but the building, making people welcome and making that human touch is vital, I believe. And I think there is actually lots of research that proves that females, as with their nature, are exceeding in building communities. What is your take, Kamila, on that?
So I would say that depends on the more of a gender. So it's like if you are part of the culture which yeah, that's a difficult topic in a way. It's like I myself personally, I believe it's more in terms of a gender. It's more gender thing. But if you will see the statistics, because of like how how our societies are built now, that's statistically true. So especially in Europe, that's statistically true. And this having this more of a empathy. So empathy in the community is also and always a good idea. And I think that it's a real pity that men not very often are teach how to be empathetic, and it's not something which is part of the culture training for a man. So I hope that that will be in the future. But now, statistically, it's yes, definitely yes.
I would agree with you, because I think we were talking a couple of months ago about leadership, and female leadership is as much important as male leadership. I mean, we've been living in a culture where statistically more men are running businesses. Hence, everybody believes that the way to run a business is the kind of masculine, very hard, very down to earth, very pro business. Kill them all, and it's not often the case. And I believe there is statistic that shows that female-run businesses may have a slower growth, but it's more stable. So there are different traits and ways of dealing as a leader that many men can benefit from. So definitely, I would agree with you, Kamila. We need to learn from each other, no matter what gender you are. So as we are reaching the end of the show very slowly, thank you very much for your active participation, dear community of women on IT, or WANIT, because it's not only a community of women, it's community of women, minorities, and their allies. We are pro business, pro technology, pro knowing the difference of successful technology. So when you are thinking about the success versus failure, why do communities of practice fail? What do you believe is the factor that makes them fail?
Yeah, so very often communities of practice are artificial in terms of like they are built because there are someone on the top has some kind of KPI to be met. So that kind of community, if doesn't find some leaders who really believe in the community, that kind of artificial community is on the great path to fail. So that's very typical case. But in the same time, if the same community will be found by leaders who really believe in the community, who really can just give some time to the community and support this community with all their hearts and skills and knowledge, then that might be saved. But that's very typical. The other thing is like. With the leaders of community, it's very important to remember that you will not be a leader whole time. Like to be a good leader, it's also the duty to prepare another leaders. So you need to be aware of that, and you need to just give your precious baby, which is a community, to other people, when you are just stepping back from a community. So that's also very often a case that a community which has some leaders which are very charismatic, and when they are just stepping out from a community and the community is not going well, then you have some cases like in terms of community of practice, which shows that there is this need, this goal of a community, this very specific topic which a community was created around, is not there. So it's for example, if you would create a community which is around, let's say, some ancient technology, which like ancient in this in our world, it would be like 20 years old. Like if you would build some community around. Nothing came to my mind, but if you would build some community around something which is not needed in the business and in technology right now, and the community would not go with the time and will not change the goals, that also might be a great way to failure. I think that the most of the time it's just a lack of time to build a community. So, some other like life is going in a way, and leaders just forget about the community. I believe that's the most typical case, and sometimes it's good for community because then some other leaders will appear, but not always.
Exactly. Well, I can't stop but think about women on IT, because I built this community with a mind that I want to be surrounded by other leaders, because the job is so much easier. As you mentioned, Kamila, building a flat structure is useful because it's much easier than to navigate through without the obstacles of he's too high in my hierarchy. And I am wondering about for example, different countries. How did it go in Asia, for example, in Japan? Is community of practice possible to be built successfully in Japan?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I would say it's different. It's definitely different. And from one hand, in Japan, you have this culture of cooperation, which is surprisingly it's a surprise. It was a surprise when I learned about that very first time, to be honest. But this cooperation means that you need to think about the whole community. You need to think about the whole group. You need to think about the whole organization. And they have very specific processes inside of inside of the organizations to just make sure that everyone is involved in the process. But in terms of community of practice, I don't have any specific example, and I haven't been working with Japan yet, but I would love to. I definitely would love to. But I think that whoever would be building community of practice definitely needs to know the culture context, and needs to know. For example, one of the difficulties which I can think of is having people from different level of the work layers, like from the hierarchy, and that they might be an issue to just communicate with people who is higher than you, and that might be not so open as usually it is with community of practice. So I would love to learn more about that.
Well, if there is any Japanese client, you're more than welcome to contact the Ginger Tech founder, Kamila Shido. And before we go and wrap things up, thank you very much for your questions. If you have last question, that's your last opportunity. I would like to ask you, Kamila, can you please give us your favorite life lesson quote? And can you share how that was relevant to you in your life, whether building community of practice or whether some other times of your life?
Yeah, so just one thing about the previous topic. There's another book which I can recommend. It's the Culture Map. And it's definitely about like different culture and different approaches to culture, and there are very good parts about Japan. In terms of the quote, actually, I have a terrible memory, so I was just thinking to write it down, and I will read that for you. So there is no chance to fulfill your own dreams by meeting expectations of others. So basically, one thing which I learned a couple of years ago, and especially as being a woman, and especially being raised in Poland, for me personally, it was very, very important to just realize that I'm a person by myself. I don't need to have any man especially to support me. To just be myself, and like don't just jumping into fulfilled someone else's dreams. It was a life changer for me when I realized that's the case. I can have just my dreams and I can fulfill them, and I don't have any duty actually to fulfill dreams of other people. So yeah, that was very important for me.
Fantastic, Kamila. I wanted to also ask you, because I know you're working on many exciting projects apart from building communities of practices across I believe, Europe, right?
Yes, right now, Europe, yeah.
Fantastic. I hope you're going to have reached that Japanese client pretty soon. I just wanted to ask you, what exciting projects are you working on right now?
Yeah, so definitely for me, communities of practice. That's the topic. That's the one. And when I started with this approach from Ginger Tech last year, actually March 2020, I'm just excited to working with different clients on these communities of practice, which are built inside communities. Inside of companies, and that's the main thing. Yeah, that's definitely main thing for me right now. Besides that, I'm also, because of the pandemic, I'm excited more about sport and just basically having this time outdoor and things like that. So it became very exciting project for me to just be more fit and just being more healthy. So it's not always work related.
Fantastic, Kamila. I remember your pictures some time ago when you were in Seattle and you were taking part of different various marathons, and I was just like, well, I just had another donut. Maybe it will make me feel better. So well done. Good for you, Kamila. I'm happy that you're keeping healthy. So it's time for our final question that our audience is enjoying so much to hear about. Imagine the pandemic is over, Kamila, and you can invite to breakfast any person in the world. Who would you love to have a private breakfast with, and why? And which place would you choose, Kamila?
Oh, that's a good one. I definitely want to answer this one. So I'm very excited about meeting a pet daughter, and he's the chief creative officer of Pixar. And why he, and why I would like to have a breakfast with him, and where. So why? That's the first thing. So because he has created some movies which are just great movies from Pixar, and which are very positive, have a deeper message, and which are very creative. And in terms of creativity, he's amazing for me, because he basically can be creative for like couple decades now, and he not only can be creative he's really, really creative. So basically, if I would say that in one sentence, it's like I would love to meet him, because I believe that he's most creative person in the world which I know of, and that's the reason. And where I was thinking about Pixar, basically because I'm also very curious about how is built this place where this whole creativity is just blooming. But also that's one answer, but the second answer is like I would be excited to have a breakfast in a place which he would choose, because then I would hope to have this creativity in action.
Fantastic. I believe that would be probably his choice to really surprise you. And thinking about surprise, I can't stop about the creative answer by I think it's Yogi Berra, who said to his wife, who asked him, where would you like to be buried? Because they lived in 3 different cities, and his answer was, well, surprise me. So I hope you're gonna have that breakfast soon enough. Hopefully that pandemic will be over. I hope you are going to stay creative and be very mindful of your communities who are dependent on you. I mean, there is lots of things happening during COVID. I know that there are code of conducts sometimes broken. So I hope it will be a very successful journey for you. I believe you're going to US soon.
Yeah, that's one of the idea, but it's still. We will see how that will go. The other plan is to just having some time in Europe as well. So I will definitely see how this summer will go. I'm very excited to see how that end up. But yes, and I hope to be in California very, very soon as well.
Fantastic. Yes. Well, good luck for that Pixar meeting. Everyone, thank you very much for your questions. Thank you very much to our audience for private questions. Thank you, Agata Bellon, Juicy Roberts, In Love and in Pain, Marianne Madera. They wouldn't be the same without your questions, your comments, your great contribution to our guest, Kamila Stępniowska, and me, Beata Young. To stay updated and ensure you never miss a positivity hack delivered, follow Women on It, turn on notifications to be alerted once a video has been released. And I hope to see you next week when we are going to talk about customer retention, how to get your customer, your loyal customer. And I'm looking forward to see you. Have a great night, Women on IT, and hack the future. Thank you.